Can you see me? Can you hear me? Hello? Are we live? Yeah, we're live. Hey, thank you for being here. Things are getting critical. I mean, critical for silver. We're going to cover that. But also, Robert Kiyosaki says gold is God's money. Big, big story there. And another expert tells us that the US dollar has been replaced by gold as the world's reserve currency. Let's start talking about silver first. But before we do that, thank you for being here. Right? You're very important. You're the most important part of this broadcast. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the apple of your mommy's eye. Please like this, share this, subscribe to the channel. We would much appreciate it. Now let's go take a look at what is going on, why things are really getting critical for silver. Here's a 1-year chart, excuse me, of the silver price. And guys, we are at a critical juncture right now. I still wholeheartedly believe that we are in for $60 silver by April of next year. But if we want, hold on a second here, if we want this rally to continue, this is the red line in the sand, right at about $35 per ounce for silver. Shoot, hold on here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Having some technical issues this morning. There we go. That's about $35 for silver. Okay, you can see that. Good. Thank you. All right. We have obviously went above $35 up in this range, and we are heading back down. Don't forget, that was the 1, 2, third time that we attempted to get above $35. Hopefully what we're going to see is a bounce upward here from this red line, which is now acting for the time being as support, but we are at a critical period. Now, if we do indeed go back into here, into the 34, 33 area, the next time that we go up above $35, it is darn near statistically impossible that we don't continue higher. So I am saying with a high degree of confidence, although I'm not a financial advisor, so do not make any financial decisions based on anything that I say here today, but I am confident that if we do go below, the next time we go above, we will really be off to the races, because statistically speaking, it's almost impossible to have a triple top and not break out for a fourth time and keep going higher and higher, although not out of the realm of possibilities. Now let's look at the gold chart here, guys. Look at this. Look, we're having some difficulties today in the precious metals markets, but a strong upward trend in gold. This is the 1-year chart of gold starting back in November, December of last year, where we started to make this big upward move in gold. The line in the sand for gold is going to be, in my opinion, right here, right around $3,200 per ounce. It appears there's some strength there. Look, I don't dive into all this crazy charting stuff, just kind of common sense charting. But don't you see that when you look at this chart, that around $3,200 per ounce for gold is the line in the sand? So we're going to keep a close eye. I know today, so far, today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. Did I tell you already? Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. It's been a challenging day in the precious metals markets, but remember, basement dwellers, nothing goes up in an absolute straight line. Pullbacks are normal. It shakes out the weak hands. It shakes out the scaredy cats and replaces them with people who know that the future looks very bright for the precious metals. The other thing that we'll touch on is the war premium. I said this in the previous live stream, and I believe it wholeheartedly from years of experience following the precious metals, and that is quite simply this: that these one-time event-driven spikes in metals never seem to last. The basic fundamental fact is one thing. The reason why precious metals will continue upward is because of, and I got a whole list here I'm going to read to you, dollar destruction, dollar devaluation, dollar weakening, dollar dilution. And why is that? Well, look, it wouldn't be a trip to the basement without a trip to the U.S. debt clock. Let's just do a check to make sure that our government hasn't instantaneously paid off all of our debt. And as you can see here on the U.S. debt clock, obviously, guys, big news. We have breached $37 trillion in debt. Don the man was the one who told me this. Don't forget, $1 trillion. Do you know how much $1 trillion is? $1 trillion is a million times a million. Just like a million is 1,000 times 1,000, a trillion is a million times a million. Obviously, interest on the debt is getting out of control. Now, what the largest line item, blah, blah, behind Social Security and Medicare, we're spending more on interest. Remember, we get nothing for that. And that's one out of, if you look up here, the federal tax revenue of $5 trillion. So one out of every $5 that you pay to your government, if you're a U.S. citizen, one out of $5 is used just for interest expense alone. And of course, we always like to take a look at the dollar to silver ratio, which is currently sitting at 1,134. That means for each 1 ounce of silver that the world mining industry produces this year, the U.S. government is doing a great job of printing 1,134 U.S. dollars via the M2 money supply. That number had been going up and up. It's kind of stabilized right now, but still just completely out of control. And hey, while we're here, we'll check on the paper to silver ratio a little bit lower here, where you see my yellow pointer. Oh, yeah, you can see my little yellow pointer. 365 paper ounces of silver for each physical ounce. It's really ridiculous. And the paper to gold ratio, well, it sits a little bit lower at 134 to 1. Hey, while we're on that subject of real silver, let's talk about real silver. Check this piece out. This is the Chinese lunar calendar on the back of this beautiful 1 ounce round that came from channel sponsor First Mint. Right there. First Mint. Let's go out to their website. It's been a few days since we did that, and take a look at what First Mint has to offer. Okay, there's what I just showed you, the year of the dragon with the Chinese calendar on the back. They have bars, 5 ounce, 10 ounce, 1 kilo. Let's see what's next. What else? Oh, they're Buffalo Round with my favorite of everything, the Indian head on the background. Absolutely beautiful. And there's one more, the year of the snake. But what really, and this is their website, firstmint.com. They have free shipping on orders over $199. Great customer service. But what makes First Mint so unique, and what I love about them, is they're part of First Majestic Silver, the silver mining juggernaut headed by Mr. Keith Neumeyer. With First Mint, it's a very unique proposition. They mine the silver in Mexico, right? All that energy, all those miners making that happen. They ship the silver from Mexico to their mint in Las Vegas, Nevada, where they create these unique, world-class, one-of-a-kind silver products. And then it gets shipped to you. So it goes from the mine to the mint to you, like the freshest silver on the market. But wait, there's more. Think about it. That silver that you get from First Mint has never been touched by the COMEX or the LBMA. It's COMEX and LBMA free. Check them out, okay? Again, they're creating world-class products made in the USA, minted in the USA, firstmint.com. Now, where are we going next? So much going on, man. Okay, let's talk about these two gurus who are telling us very interesting things about gold and silver. We'll start with this one. Nassim Taleb puts out a statement that is really kind of shocking. This comes from the Daily Hodl, where he says that the U.S. dollar is now effectively been replaced as the world's reserve currency by this asset, according to Black Swan author Nassim Taleb. Very interesting. Economist and best-selling author says single asset has overtaken the U.S. dollar's position as the world's de facto reserve currency. Now, we know officially the U.S. dollar is still the world's number one reserve currency, followed by gold. It overtook the euro not too long ago. But Nassim has something very, very interesting to say about his perspective on that matter. In an interview with Bloomberg, he said that the U.S. dollar has lost its status as a reliable safe haven asset, noting that people prefer to invest in the stock market rather than hold a currency that declines in value over time. Think about the U.S. debt clock, which we just looked at. America's sweeping sanctions against Russia were a catalyst for this. But according to Taleb, gold is now the world's reserve currency, highlighting that the dollar's credibility eroded after America and its allies weaponized the U.S. dollar. He says, quote, that would end up being reflected in stocks in the slow decline of the dollar. And effectively, there's a second risk. The first one is the deficit. The second one is effectively that the dollar is losing its status as a reserve currency. You can see the accumulation of gold in the reserves and the behavior of gold over the past 12 months. He said, gold is effectively now the reserve currency. Transactions take place in dollars and euros, usually dollars, and at the same rate. However, they get converted back into gold, and we can see that from the accumulation of reserves. So what he is saying basically is, yeah, the world still uses dollars to conduct trade, but then they're quickly converting those dollars into gold. That's what we're seeing with the Shanghai Gold Exchange, right? Becoming more and more popular, building gold warehouses all around the world. The world financial system, guys, is changing right now before our very eyes. It's happening slowly, like they boil a frog or whatever that analogy is, but it's happening day by day by day by day. The world is losing confidence in the U.S. dollar. I don't like it. I live in the United States. The founding fathers set the system up in a great way, but unfortunately, let's just say over the last few decades, some of our politicians have made some pretty bad decisions that are leading to the U.S. dollar losing confidence with other countries around the world. Now, don't forget also, coming up in early July, we have a massive BRICS conference going on in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. And is it a sleeper? Because you're not hearing a lot of people talk about it. Remember last year, we sat down here and we talked about how there was all this speculation that they were going to announce a new world gold-backed reserve currency, and it kind of turned into a nothing burger. Could this year be the sleeper surprise where they come out with some type of big announcement? Now, we know at minimum that there will be in-depth discussions at minimum amongst the BRICS countries about trading outside of the U.S. dollar and using their own currencies. And don't forget the BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, but also, right, the other countries, Iran, I guess Saudi Arabia is kind of out of it at this point, Egypt, and a host of others. They are interested in moving away from using the dollar for trade. So it's going to be very interesting to watch and see what happens. Robert Kiyosaki calls gold God's money. Let's get to that next. But first, if you want a company that has millions of ounces of gold in the ground, right there, First Mining Gold. It's a stock I own. I'm not a financial advisor. Don't make any decisions based on what I say. But First Mining Gold is a Canadian development stage company that has millions of ounces of gold in the ground in Canada. They have the Spring Pole project in Ontario. They have the Du Parquet project in Quebec. And they have another Canadian gold project called Cameron. When you add them all together, you're talking about 9, 10 or more million ounces of gold in the ground in Canada. Unbelievable amounts of money were spent over decades and decades to drill and define that gold is in the ground. And guess what? There aren't many big development stage gold projects in Canada. And the big mining companies are soon going to be clamoring to get their hands on these defined resources that are in the ground. You can learn more about the company at firstmininggold.com. And if you want, and I might recommend you do this, you want to talk to a real person at the company, you can actually reach out to Paul Morris. He's their director of investor relations. You can call Paul, or better yet, send him an email at paul@firstmininggold.com. Now, what did Robert Kiyosaki have to say about gold, and why do we want to pay attention? Let's go out and check this out because it is very interesting. Here we go. This came from our friends at Yahoo Finance. Robert Kiyosaki believes that civil war has begun in the United States, and he wants Americans to put their cash into something precious. I wonder what he's talking about. Let's dig in here. Rich Dad Poor Dad author Robert Kiyosaki has just issued a dire warning for Americans. He says, Civil war has begun. ICE raids in Los Angeles erupt into mass violence. Well, then we know we had another war that begun that apparently maybe is over at this part. But anyway, he recently wrote on a post on X, I believe we and the world are in for a long, hot, violent summer. Okay. California Governor Gavin Newsom recently accused Trump of wanting a civil war on the streets. Hold on. It gets better. Okay. Amid the escalating tensions, Kiyosaki linked the turmoil to the fourth turning, a generational theory by author Neil Howe and William Strauss. According to the theory, society moves in roughly 80-year cycles marked by periods of upheaval that reset political and economic systems. And doesn't that kind of seem like I'm 55, and now that I'm learning more and live longer and looked at history, like all these things kind of happen in cycles? Kiyosaki pointed out the previous fourth turnings, included the American Revolution, the Civil War, and the Great Depression, World War II. He believes the current cycle is about redefining one fundamental concept: money. Okay. In orange, the issue, according to Kiyosaki, is our bankers are stealing the wealth of people via fake money, counterfeit money. The central bankers print, right? They can just print, dilute, devalue the US dollar. He said, I trust the era of bankers ripping off the world is coming to an end. Sound money, gold, silver, and Bitcoin take away the power from the corrupt bankers. Stop saving fake money. Save gold, silver, and Bitcoin. God's money. As I've said for years, gold and silver are God's money. Kiyosaki, the famed author, has been advocating for precious metals for decades. Here, in October of 2023, he predicted on X, quote, gold will soon break through $2,100. Remember, guys, this was 18 months ago, and then take off. You will wish you had bought gold below $2,000. Next stop, gold, $3,700. Okay. Now let's switch over quickly to Ray Dalio, right? The guru, founder of Bridgewater Associates, the world's largest hedge fund. Just back in February, told CNBC, people don't have typically an adequate amount of gold in their portfolio, adding when bad times come, gold is a very effective diversifier. So we've got Nassim Taleb talking about the end of the dollar as the world's reserve currency. We have Robert Kiyosaki telling us in no uncertain terms, now get into silver and gold, God's money. And Ray Dalio from Bridgewater Capital saying most people are underallocated into gold and silver. I'm a big believer. I believe silver will reach $60 per ounce by April Fool's Day 2026. I'm out on a limb. That's my prediction. Most of my predictions have come true. I feel very strong. My instincts tell me, my intuition. How do you feel about it, right? Right now, we are in a very critical period for the silver price and the gold price, but we're in it together, right? And please don't forget, I appreciate you being here. Please subscribe to the channel. Video, thumbs up would be much appreciated. Share it with your friends. Share it on X, wherever you like. But this critical time that we're at with silver, $35 must hold. Gold, I'm saying $3,200. If we go below those levels, it is not the end of the world, because as we looked at the reason why, the big reason why, as we looked at earlier on, the U.S. debt clock, the fiscal and monetary situation in this country is critical bad at this time. So we will move, whether we want to look at another year from now, 5 years, 10 years down the road, we will move into an environment which will be very challenging for most of our fellow Western citizens, American citizens, but will also be extremely conducive to higher precious metals prices. Again, thank you to all of our sponsors, First Mint, First Mining Gold. Also want to say thank you to channel sponsor Ledger. Ledger is the cryptocurrency hardware wallet security leader. And to our friends at MoonPay, they're the leading fintech company going right now, growing and innovating like no one else. Number one, thank you for joining me here in the basement. It's a big deal. I always appreciate you giving me your time. We're in for good times with the precious metals. Period. Right? Remember, guys, remember, nothing goes straight up. Today's been a challenging day for silver and gold. No doubt about it. That's okay. That's normal. What do you see when you look out 1 year, 5 year, 10 years from now? Remember, we were down here 3 years ago when silver was what? Let's go see where silver was 3 years ago. That'll be interesting. And then if you want me to say hello to you, I'll pull up the comments. I'll spend a few minutes. Put a comment. Tell me where you're joining us from, and we'll check that out. But let's go out here to the silver chart. And let's look at a 5-year chart of silver. Where were we 3 years ago? That would be what? June of 2022? Nope. Here we go. Wow. Ugh. Well, here, look at this. Unbelievable. Back in August of 2022, we had silver at $18 per ounce, roughly half of where we are right now. Okay. Where were we about a year ago? 624. Where is it? 627. Okay. We were at $20 silver. So guys, and look where we've gone from there. We will draw one quick line on this chart, because we need to remember where we come from. Wow. Look at this. Do you notice something? Okay, that was 3 years ago. $18 silver, less than 3 years ago. Look at that uptrend. All right, we are in for some continued good times in the silver market. Let's go out and look at some comments. Say hello. See who's out there. Okay. Hello, Mark Holdman, South Africa. My friend, my grandpa's from South Africa. Mark, hold on. Wrong screen. Mark Holdman. Yeah, my grandpa Rademeyer's from South Africa. He was a Boer, fought in the Boer War, came to St. Louis for the World's Fair. That is awesome, man. Got some South Africans in the house. Okay. Angel Eyes, good to see you. Jerry Mandarin, sign up. Mark from South America. All right, guys. Texas Rudy. All right. Good to see you, Texas. Rudy and Jerry Mandarin. All right. Anybody else? Jake from Jake's Custom Parts. Man, I forget to say thank you. Jake is a moderator here on the channel, has done a great job for years. Appreciate you, Jake. Everyone loves you in the precious metals and even the crypto communities. Jake from Jake's Custom Parts, 2 thumbs up. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. There's Michelle. Good to see you, Michelle. Okay. Hey, there's Bart from Canada. Hello, Bart. Hello, Dabbies from England. Awesome, my friend. All right, guys, have a great day. Thanks again for being here. I'm going to look forward to seeing you next time. Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.